Big green lawns, once a status symbol for English nobility, now as American as mom and apple pie, but not as harmless. Meet Catherine, the suburbanite who's gone organic.
I had grass for a long time. I had the typical suburban house with the grass front yard, and I started to realize that grass was a big time suck, big money suck, and I just started to leave it alone. I looked around the rest of my property and I thought, well, why do I even need chemicals? I just stopped them. And after a season or two, the balance of the good bugs that were eating the bad bugs started to rise, because when you use pesticides, you're killing everything. So even the good bugs, so you throw this ecosystem out of balance.
Grass may look innocent, but the Environmental Protection Agency says it's guilty. Keeping pristine lawns takes a heavy toll on the environment and human health.
Grass takes an amazing amount of resources, not only water, but fertilizer, which is made from oil. Most people don't realize that. It's made from chemicals. It involves a mower that pollutes 3 times as much as a car. And then there are these unlicensed, what I call mow and blow guys that come through. They're cheap. They spray pesticides on your lawn while this is a bedroom community of New York City. People are working in New York. They come home, they'll roll around on the grass with their baby, and they don't know that they're exposing the baby to organophosphates. I mean, it's crazy.
Catherine started to get off lawn and garden chemicals after getting breast cancer.
I started organic gardening when I started to think maybe these chemicals are what caused my breast cancer. So I didn't want that to happen for my children, and I started to care about more of the world around me. In fact, when I was still in advertising, this transformation was taking place, and my friends would joke that I was promoting consumerism by day and fighting it by night. As I started to get more knowledgeable about gardening, and people would come up to me and ask me questions and come over to the house, I thought that it would be great if I could get my ideas of pesticide-free property out to a wider audience. And we have this wonderful resource in our town, a local cable access channel where anybody who's part of the community can do a television show.
Catherine became the lazy gardener and local TV celebrity, sharing organic gardening tips for suburban homeowners.
And then you can cover it. It would be stopped in the supermarket. People would come up to me, my hydrangeas are drooping, what can I do about it?
Then she started really bucking suburban yard convention and got rid of most of her grass lawn.
This whole area used to be a lawn, but now it's all flowers, so I don't have to mow it. I don't have to use pesticides or fertilizers. This is all maintained organically. And it saves water because I don't have to water my lawn. They're rain gardens, and so they keep the water on the property. So I save money and I save some time. In fact, I have something that I call guerrilla gardening, where if I have 10 minutes, I'll do 10 minutes worth of weeding. And in this way, I chip away at my property's chores without making myself crazy.
She turned another corner of the yard into a small vegetable garden.
I got a great crop of tomatoes this year. I'm growing them all without pesticides, and they're delicious. They're not like those watery supermarket plasticky tomatoes. I'm also growing a lot of herbs, which I dry to use throughout the winter, and we've been eating them in salads all year.
She dug up the grass lawn on the hilly side of the house and turned it into a waterfall and pond. It took 1 day to build and was documented on her TV show.
This waterfall and pond is a closed system, so that water is constantly being recycled, and it's a biofall system. It uses bacteria to clean the water. There's fish in there that when they eliminate, their waste is food for the plants, and the plants give them oxygen. So it's this whole system that keeps reusing itself, so we never use any more water. I do use a little bit of electricity. You need to aerate water so that it doesn't become stagnant. It's very little electricity, and I think the trade-off is huge. But also, it supports hundreds of critters that come here to drink. All the squirrels and the chipmunks and birds. I've seen herons in here. I've seen all kinds of animals come to drink at this pond because there is no other water around here. It's so important to have water on your property. Even a little bowl of water, a bird bath, is better than nothing.
Catherine bucked another suburban custom and dug up her paved driveway, replacing it with a permeable surface.
It's no coincidence that incidences of flooding have gone up as impervious surfaces go up. They're directly connected.
Grass lawns have a tiny fraction of the water absorption capacity of a more natural environment. Coupled with more and more development, rain and snow melt rapidly overwhelm streams and rivers and contribute to flooding.
In a typical suburban house, the rainwater comes off the roof, down these gutters, down the driveway and into the street, and that causes flooding and problems with water. My house, the rainwater goes into the gutter and then into my garden. So I'm watering my property, I'm keeping the water on my land, and I'm not contributing to flooding. This is one of my rain gardens. I collect the water here, and it stays here for a day or so, and then it percolates back into the ground instead of going into the street. As far as hierarchy goes for a pesticide-free garden, believe it or not, composting is the single most important thing someone can do. And that's because the health of all plants starts from the ground up. If you don't have good soil, you're going to have problems with your plants. Mother Nature's kind of figured it out after all these millions of years. Leaves drop, they have all the nutrients in them, and it feeds the roots of the trees. So if you're taking away these nutrients, you've got to either add them chemically, you've got to add mulch, which you have to buy. I mean, the whole process is crazy to me. I always laugh around the fall because people are gathering up all their leaves and they're putting it by the curb and they're giving away this precious resource, which I then gather all the leaves and I bring them to my property. You don't even need a fancy bin. You could have something like chicken wire where you just throw all your grass clippings and your leaves in, and it really turns into this beautiful soil as well. So here's the deal about kitchen composting. All you need is a bucket to store your kitchen waste in. I have a compost pail which has a carbon filter on top to keep the smell down, but you can use anything. You can use a Tupperware. And anytime we're finished cutting vegetables or leftover salad, the rule is anything but meat can go in here, including paper. And one important thing to remember when you're composting is to have an even number of browns and greens. The browns are leaves, any kind of paper, newspaper, and the greens are like salad, vegetable cuttings, watermelon rinds, anything like that.
Then you take the bucket of kitchen scraps outside and dump it into your compost bin or pile. But remember to keep it separate from where you're cooking up your leaf compost.
Now I'm chopping all this up because the smaller the pieces, the faster it'll turn back into soil. So this is going to cook for a little bit, and then I'm going to have gorgeous soil in about 3 to 4 weeks.
By composting kitchen scraps and paper products, Catherine's family has gone from 3 garbage cans of waste per week down to 1.
Even an organic garden needs help sometimes, and I have some favorite products that I use instead of, say, for fungicide. I have a product called Remedy, which you can get on the internet, and it's basically just baking soda. This is great for black leaf on your roses, if your roses get black spot, and powdery mildew, that white fuzzy stuff on some of your plants. And it's just basically baking soda. Mix it with water according to package directions, and it really works. This is just your basic phosphate-free dish liquid, and this is great for, instead of pesticides, half a teaspoon of this with water, fill this up, and you spray it on any soft body and insect, and it kills them immediately. You don't have to use pesticides. And if you still insist on having grass, this is corn gluten. I could probably eat it. It's a corn byproduct. And you put it on in the spring and fall, according to package directions, and it stops weeds from seeding. So that's a great product to get. You can't use it and grow grass seed at the same time. Read the package. But this is a great pre-emergent herbicide. All of this may seem a bit overwhelming, but keep in mind that it's an evolution. I've created this paradise over 14 years. The first step that I took was saying I don't want to use pesticides anymore. If you just take the first step, it's a lot easier to just go down that road.